What is the stupidest way you almost died? I was at a Pink Floyd concert at the old Tampa Stadium, was going to get a beer. I got crushed against a wall at the bottom of a stairway when a rush of people came up the breezeway. I couldn't move or breathe, probably 100 or more people in a logjam. I'm not a big person, started to panic, looked up and a guy looked over the rail above me. He started yelling to me to reach for his hand. He leaned way over and grabbed my hand and pulled me up point like 8 or 9 feet and over the rail. Took a few minutes to get a breath. He had the security guy get the medic to check me over. Freaky close to a very bad ending. Almost got my head squashed by a car due to a small pebble making me fall on the main road. I almost drowned in the sea as a kid. A current pushed me away from the shore. Lifeguards saved me and were slapping my face. I thought it was a punishment, but they were resuscitating me. Cut my inner ankle on a glass cup. For those who don't know, an artery is there, and I literally sliced through it. Almost bled out. Thankfully didn't though. I was at a water park in Texas with one of those super tall, straight down slides. They had multiple signs saying things like, "Do not push off before sliding down." Me being an 18-year-old idiot and wanting to race my friend, I decided to push off. That extra push started my slow motion, airborne flight over the slide. I was then staring 100 foot down at concrete and my other friend who had his jaw open. What felt like minutes later, I smacked back down onto the slide and made my way down to the bottom. Thank God for the engineers that planned for suicidal idiots like myself. My homie's autistic brother was in the deep end of a wave pool. He can't swim without floaters. So he called for help, and I jumped in. As I was trying to swim with one hand and carry him with the other, I heard the siren for the big wave that happens every few minutes. So I tried to quickly swim away, but it caught up and pushed us under. I accidentally tried to breathe, and that put quite a bit of water in me. Just then I felt someone grab me and pull me out of the water. It was my homie. And he also grabbed his brother. So after I threw up a bunch of water and rested a bit, I realized that I almost died in a wave pool. Going down the wooden stairs at my parents' house wearing socks. Slipped on the last step and banged my head on the wall. Woke up 3 hours later with doggo by my side desperately licking my ear. Never told my parents. While drunk, I sat down outside to rest for a moment on a freezing cold winter's night. Fortunately, a passerby noticed me and encouraged me to get inside. I figure I was probably there dozing for several minutes. I was at Lake Bled in Slovenia and thought I could easily swim the distance between the shore and the island in the middle with a church on it. Boy was I wrong. About halfway I started getting exhausted and had trouble staying afloat. Then my body kicked into survival mode, the adrenaline started pumping, and I Michael Phelps the rest of the way to the island. I ended up paying €5 to have a boat take me back to shore after that harrowing experience. Came very close, about 2 inches, to backing into a warehouse rack full of 2-ton coils of sheet metal when I didn't realize that my forklift was in reverse. I coughed. Dislocated my C1 C2 vertebrae and spent 6 months in a body halo. IDK how close to death that counts, but be careful when you cough. Unplugging the washing machine with wet hands. My hand slipped onto the prongs while they were still partially in the outlet, and I think my heart stopped for a second before I yanked the plug free. Definitely do not recommend. I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. I was getting off the school bus and was walking around to the other side to my driveway. Suddenly the bus driver hits the horn, scared the hell out of me, and I stopped at the edge of the front of a bus and a dump truck good speeding around. I don't know if the dump truck driver didn't see the lights of the bus or whatever, but that driver made a dumb mistake that could have cost me my life. Thinking about it, my older sister was up at our driveway waiting for me. Probably would have messed her up for life. After that the school district changed bus routes to avoid students having to cross the road to get on or off the bus. I walked into a backroom freezer of a grocery store. The huge door was designed to close automatically. I knew this and went in and did what I was there to do. After 30 seconds, I couldn't catch my breath. I thought maybe I was just working too hard, so I stopped and took several huge breaths. Nothing. I felt like I was drowning out of water. I had to move as quickly as I could back outside of the freezer and feel to my knees gasping when I got out. It was only afterwards I realized for some dumb reason someone kept open dry ice in a cart inside of the freezer. Dry ice removes oxygen out of the air in enclosed spaces. I almost died from lack of oxygen and would have been an icicle when they found me. Don't fuck with dry ice. Being sleepy on the road. Don't. Find a spot and sleep a bit. Edit. Thanks people for the awards. Seriously, it happened to me twice. You think you won't fall asleep, but you will. I snorkeled too far out into the ocean, and it wasn't because it was a riptide. I just got distracted by pretty fish. I'm Italian but have been living in the UK for 2 years. Guess who looked at the wrong side of the road while a bus was coming off? Every time I went back to Italy I risked my life for the same reason, by getting used to drive to the left and vice versa. Taking apart a dryer completely to clean it out and get it running smoothly again, dropped a screwdriver onto an exposed wire, huge arc and zap sound. I had left it plugged in up until I realized the incredibly smooth-brained move I had pulled. Went to go visit a friend in Gloucester, Mass in winter back in high school far from my home. I was planning on staying overnight at their house, but their mother, who I now know has mental health problems, wouldn't even let me in the house because the father wasn't home working a night shift. Friend said sorry bro and closed the door. Almost froze to death waiting outside in 10-degree F at night. A cab driver saw me slumped on a bench and woke me up, let me get warm and drive around in the passenger seat while he picked up drunk people out on the town all night. When he finished his shift he dropped me off at the train station and handed me $7 for the fare. Dude probably saved my life and I can't even remember his name. I didn't look before I crossed the street. Walked backwards while talking to my friend, got hit by a van. I wasn't wearing my medic alert bracelet to warn the paramedics and hospital that I'm allergic to Demoral because it looks dumb and gets caught on my backpack. Besides, what are the chances I'd ever be given that? The chances, it turns out, are pretty good if you get hit by a van going full speed hard enough to nearly rip your foot off at the ankle. I survived 7 surgeries to patch me back up, was comatose for a little bit, had some blood transfusions, massive amounts of physiotherapy. Look both ways and wear your medic alerts, folks. I was riding my bike to either the school or the supermarket, I can't remember. I was maybe like 12 over 13 years old. In my town you can't really ride a bike on the street, so I had to use the sidewalk. On my way I had to ride across a bus stop with a ton of people just blocking the way for me and my bike. So I decided to hop onto the street and up onto the sidewalk again later. Those people were blocking my view, so I didn't see a bus coming my way. I just barely hopped onto the sidewalk and the bus missed me by a few centimeters after that. I didn't really understand what happened. A few hours later it hit me that this could have ended rather bad for me. I waited over a week with stomach pains in college, thinking it was gas or something. Got so bad I couldn't sleep, but still waited all night to go to urgent care when they opened the next morning instead of going to the ER. They told me it was my appendix and asked if I wanted an ambulance. I didn't want to cause a scene and elected to drive to the ER. Got to the ER and vomited in their trash can. Was in surgery within 20 minutes. Was in the hospital for 2 weeks with an NG tube and catheter. Everyone said I almost died. Drove on an interstate during a hurricane and watched all the cars around me get submerged. Grown adult and choked on mozzarella cheese. Was only alone for 20 minutes. Can't imagine the obituary. swam under a shipyard pier at night, solid concrete above me, and lost my sense of direction. Got lucky and found my way out. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes, awards, and words of encouragement. To add more detail, a friend and I were assault swimmers attacking a ship for a training exercise at night. We would swim from pylon to pylon underwater, take a breath, go under, push off, and swim 20 feet to the next pylon, surface and repeat. My mask broke, and I was doing it with my eyes closed due to having contacts at the time. One time I just kept swimming, and felt like I missed the pylon. When I went to slowly broach the surface I found myself under the concrete above. I had no idea the pier was even built like that. Put my hands up and oriented myself. It looked dark in all directions, but my gut told me to the right is where I came from. After that, I stayed on the surface. Cheers.